Schools. America. You know, America is often said to have a great educational system, and you know what? It really does, and I don't mean to sound, I don't know, ungrateful for it, but there is also a certain amount of terribleness to it. You see, I am in college now, but I went to public school for most of the time, so my classroom in elementary looked kind of like this. Bunch of kids, all at desks, all facing the forward, American flags present and waving. We did get projectors towards the later years, but mostly we had those little overhead projectors that are on like carts that come in, and from like the 90s. They're kind of like old, and they've got the overhead little beam, and they would go to a pull down projector screen. They often had maps you would pull down, and, you know, speakers from like ever ago. When I got older and into schools with better funding, they had TVs, like the big box ones, but mostly little speakers in the walls for early elementary. The schools would be well over 100 years old. In fact, the teachers there also ancient. I have a distinct memory as a child of a teacher looking upon my class, I want to say the 4th grade, and saying, "Oh, well, so-and-so. It's nice to see that last name again. I've taught your father, and your father before him." So, quite old. I know a lot of the time when you're a child, you kind of see teachers as being old, even if they're like 20. But, yeah, these teachers are quite old. Well, at least were when I was in school. And so it led to a lot of issues that were confounded by the fact that I was a silent child. When I say silent, I mean they sent me to speech once because they were afraid that I didn't know how to talk. Yeah, we'll leave it with that. I know in most modern settings, schools aren't quite like this anymore, but we were segmented, boys and girls, you know, put your backpack down in the girls section for me, and, you know, go over to your desk and sit and be very, very, very quiet. And for my 1% of British viewers, of which I apparently have, insane, crazy, yes, we were made to say the pledge every morning. And one of my teachers, who was extra patriotic, also had us sing the national anthem, but they had a record player, like, on a desk, and it was a terrible record, terribly scratched, it would skip, and her biggest mistake, I fear, was that she never gave us the words to the national anthem, and you're a 4th grader, you've got no idea. So you get up there, and you can obviously make out, "Oh, say, can you see?" But everything past that is gibberish that you're half mumbling underneath your breath. I mean, come on, you're a kid. You go, you just kind of try to figure it out. And what that sounds like across 40 students is terrible. You see, I live in a state that doesn't have statewide funding. It doesn't pool from the whole state to the school. It only pools from the local area. So, you know, there were laws about how many students you could have in a classroom, and the answer was if you have 40 kids or more, you had to have 2 adults in the room, which my school district could not have. So we had like 32 to 38 in a class. I like often brought in extra desks from like nowhere. And we had, you know, the iconic chairs that were made out of like metal and, you know, catched your hair on little screws on the back, and it was something. Now, most of this wouldn't be an issue if I wasn't such a grudge holder. You see, it's terrible. I will hold a grudge until the day I die. For example, I was really little, and you don't know that your vision's messed up when you're a kid because you just assume everybody can't see the walls or the clock or anything. So, especially when you're silent, you don't talk to these kids. You don't know what's going on. So, I had no idea. And I couldn't see the clock on the wall very well. So one of my teachers, we're doing this exercise where you have to sit at your desk and read a little clock on the wall. And just, what time is it? They would kind of quiz us, throughout the day. So, I don't know, I'd squint. And I didn't have a great concept of time because it's like the second grade. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh. And on my piece of paper, I wrote down that it was 10:10. I don't know, the little hands looked really close together. Looked to be around the 10 mark. I don't know. As far as I was aware, analog clocks, it's kind of how it goes. And this teacher walks up behind me, reads my paper, and goes, 10:10's not even a real time. And I'll have you know, twice a day it is 10:10. Most people know that, but apparently not this teacher. I don't know. 10:10. Disgusting. Another time, I was at one of these back tables, and the teacher aide, really, held me back from recess because she said my coloring page, which was done in crayon, had too many white spots in it. And when you color with a crayon, it just has those. But no, me and several of my peers had to stay back. Well, why? Power trip, maybe? But school isn't all bad, obviously. Like one time I had a teacher just because, I don't know, she was really, a certain kind of person. I've never met the like since. Definitely like older than a boomer. She reached up behind one of these, this was like a curtain, and pulled out a horse skull. One of the kids who was, like drawing horses, she was teaching them anatomy of the horse and how to draw based on that. I mean, really cool. Obviously, public school education, very, very variable. And always, because of our, classes, very local. So, you meet a lot of interesting people, you do a lot of things, but there certainly is a number of grudges I'd like to keep down. Anyway, that's it for this. I just wanted to share a couple school stories just because it's easy to talk about school because everybody's been through it. And I kind of would like to involve myself more in my channel than just long shots of me building. That's something I feel like you can kind of get anywhere. So just talking a little more about my life because I've been told it's quite crazy. So thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all those fun YouTube things. I will be stalking. And I mean stalking this video to see how well it does. I do that for all my videos because I'm crazy. But if you do, I will notice, and you should know that it is deeply appreciated. Alright? Thank you and good night. Or whatever time it is where you are.